Hello, students. Let's read this problem together. Mr. Brown flipped two coins 112 times simultaneously. How many times can he predict both coins will land on tails? So we make sure that we circle or underline important information. In our case, we have used a highlighter to highlight the important information. Also, we want to make sure we box in the question. How many times can he predict that both coins will land on tails? Okay, so let's elaborate. We have several things that we can do. In this case, I would like to draw a diagram of the sample spaces, and that's how I'm going to elaborate for this problem. So I'm going to remember that when I do my tree diagram, I'm going to start with my first coin. So coin 1, I could land on heads or tails. Now let's talk about coin 2. So if on coin 1 we got heads, on coin 2 we will still be able to get heads or tails. And if on coin 1 we got tails, the second coin will also be able to either land on heads or tails. Now looking at this tree diagram, we can see all of the possible outcomes as we follow them. We have heads, heads. I'm going to make my list now. I also have heads, tails. I also can have tails, heads. And I can have tails, tails. So once again, we have heads, 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 tails, tails, heads, tails, tails. Now we have drawn and listed the information for all of our outcomes. So we elaborated, and now we are ready to solve. So remember that they asked us for both coins to land on tails. So if we look at our tree diagram or we look at the list, landing on two tails, 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 there is only one where they both land on tails. So the probability of landing on tails, tails is just one out of, there was 4 possible. Remember, if we have a tree diagram, we count the bottom most so we can see how many possibilities. And here in our list, we can see that there are 4 possibilities. So that's 1 out of 4 that I will be able to land on tails, tails. Now, we're not going to flip only 4 times. Remember, now we're trying to make a prediction. And whenever I see the word prediction, it's going to be a proportion. So we're going to set up that proportion. So if the probability of getting tails, tails is 1 out of 4, then what would be the probability out of 112? So we can set up that proportion here. 1 out of 4 is equal to how many out of 112? And we can put X. And then we can use our cross products. So 4X is equal to 1 times 112 is 112. And we divide by 4, but whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So 4 divided by 4 is X equals 112 divided by 4 is 28. So it looks like 28 times we should land on tails, tails. Now let's go ahead and do it another way. We know that the probability of landing on tails is 1 out of 4. That is if we did this one time. Right? So we throw both coins, we can get tails. 1 out of 4 is our probability. But we're going to multiply that by 112 times that we want to flip the coins. And if we put that over 1 to multiply, we get 112 divided by 4. 112 divided by 4 is 28. So if we answer the question, how many times can he predict both coins will land on tails? The answer is C, 28 times. And we are done solving. And we even solved it 2 different ways to check our answer. Okay, it's your turn.